Welcome to my daily HR Metrics series by Nicolas Bebani. What does Gen Z really want from work? More money, more flexibility, a better work life balance, or something deeper? A new study from the Walton Family Foundation, Gallup, and Harvard's Making Caring Common gives us a fascinating answer. 79% of Gen Z say they want a future job that helps others or makes a positive difference. But here's the surprising part. Only 48% of employed Gen Z adults say their current job does that. So today, let's talk about the gap between the work Gen Z wants and the work Gen Z actually experiences. Welcome to another episode of Daily HR Metrics. The Voices of the Gen Z study surveyed 2,436 Gen Z response aged 13 to 28 across the United States. The survey was conducted by Gallup in partnership with the Walton Family Foundation and Making Caring Common at Harvard. And the message is very interesting. Gen Z doesn't simply want a paycheck. 79% want a future job focused on helping others or making a positive difference. And helping others isn't only about work. 72% say helping others or making a positive difference outside of work is important to them. So this isn't just a career preference. For many Gen Zers, it seems to connect with something much bigger. Does what I do matter? Now let's look at the workplace. Among employed Gen Z adults, only 48% say their current job mainly focuses on helping others or making a positive difference. And among Gen Z adults who actually wants the kind of job, the number is 56%. Think about that for a moment. A lot of young people want work that feels meaningful, but many aren't experiencing that feeling in their current job. And this is where HR should pay attention. Because this isn't simply about Gen Z asking, what's my salary? They're also asking who benefits from the work I do. Does my work help someone? Can I see the impact? Now let's be careful. The research doesn't say Gen Z will choose purpose over everything else. In fact, the study shows the opposite. When choosing their top three future priorities, 52% choose personally fulfilling work, 50% choose work life balance, 50% choose earning enough without excessive stress, 41% choose making enough money to be financially successful, and 23% choose helping or caring for others. So Gen Z isn't saying give me purpose and forget the salary. They are saying something much more human. I want meaningful work, but also need a life that works. That's very important distinction. And the research shows why some Gen Zs may hesitate. 49% say they worried helping jobs don't pay enough. So 46% they worry these jobs can be hard or emotionally draining. So employers have a real challenge. If we tell young people find meaningful work, but the meaningful work comes with poor pay, high stress, and no balance, we shouldn't be surprised if they hesitate. Purpose matters, but purpose without sustainability isn't enough. And here's perhaps my favorite finding. Among employed Gen Zers, 65% say they find their work meaningful. But those working in jobs focused on helping others are much more likely to say their work is meaningful. 84% versus 44%. That's a huge difference. The report also finds that Gen Z who feel needed by others and feel they make a positive difference are about 3 to 4 times as likely to experience meaning or purpose in their lives. So there is a powerful HR question here. Can we help people see the human impact of their work? Sometimes the job itself doesn't need to change. Maybe what needs to change is whether people can actually see who benefit from what they do. And that brings us to today's HR metric. I call it Gen Z Purpose Alignment Rate. The formula is simple. Gen Z Purpose Alignment Rate equal to Gen Z employees who want helping or impactful work and say their current job provides it, divided by Gen Z employees who want helping or impactful work multiplied by 100. For example, imagine you survey 100 Gen Z employees. 60 say they want work that makes a positive difference, and 36 of those 60 say their current job actually gives them that opportunity. Your purpose alignment rate is 36 divided by 60 multiplied by 100, equal to 60%. The research gives us a useful external benchmark, 56%. But your organization number is the one that matters most. You could measure this every 6 months or every year, and then break it down by team, function, manager, etc. Then ask, where is the purpose strongest? Where is the gap biggest? And most importantly, what can we change? Maybe employees need more visibility into customers. Maybe they need to hear real stories about the people their work helps. Maybe manager need to connect everyday tasks to a bigger outcome. Maybe the job itself needs redesigning. That's where a metric becomes useful. It doesn't give you the answer, it tells you where to look. So here's my question for you. Do you think Gen Z really wants purpose at work, or they simply want work that feels meaningful, fair, and worth their time? And if you are an HR leader, would you measure purpose alignment in your organization? Tell me what you think in the comments. And if you enjoyed today's daily HR metrics, subscribe for the next one, because HR metrics aren't just numbers. Behind every number, it's a person. See you tomorrow for another new HR metrics.
For your daily dose of learning people analytics, make sure to like and follow my YouTube and LinkedIn page at Nicolas Lebani.